As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized SEMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a SEMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the SEMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study Exam. Start studying the SEMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Good evening, professional colleagues, friends, students, ladies and gentlemen. We want to welcome you to another edition of ICAN on Air, a program that is packaged to educate, enlighten our members on contemporary things that is happening in our profession and everywhere around us. Once again, you're welcome. Today, we have put together a topic that we feel is very much important to our professional colleagues, to the captains of industries, people that are in businesses, and that's what we'll be talking on: cybersecurity awareness, the role of accountant. Today, Thursday, the 23rd of June, we will be guesting no other person than Mr. Opeyemi Onifade. Who is Mr. Opeyemi Onifade? Here of Aphenoid Enterprise Limited, a payment card industry qualified security assessment company, an independent Swift cyber security assessor company. He is the current African ambassador of ICAN International and also serves as a trustee advisor and strategic partner to public and private sector organizations in their digital transformation and IT business convergent joining, cybersecurity capability road mapping, and personal competency development. Prior becoming an entrepreneur over 10 years, he was the CISO at Galaxy Backbone PLC, Nigeria, the country information security officer at EcoBank Transnational Incorporation, senior analyst at Philip Consulting Limited, to mention but a few. He was a board chairman, chapter president, and education director of ICAN Abuja chapter. The resume of our paper presenter for today is quite inviting, scintillating, and I can assure you that he's prepared to do a lot for us today. As you and I know, as an accountant, we play around with data, and it's important to know that now that globalization and digitalization is the in thing, and because we operate in the cyberspace, it's important that we are the understanding of cybersecurity. And I can assure you that Mr. Opeyemi Onifade today will be doing justice to this. In a short while, I'll be going for a break, and I will be back with our guest for today. Stay tuned, stay connected. I will be back shortly. Welcome back, our professional colleagues, friends of our institute, ladies and gentlemen, to the Thursday edition of ICAN on Air, powered by the Institute of Chartered Accountant of Nigeria. And it's my pleasure to be guesting today a seasoned professional by excellence who has been operating in the cyberspace for quite a very long time in person of Mr. Okpeyemi Onifade, who will be talking to us on cybersecurity awareness and the role of professional accountant. Mr. Onifade, good evening, and my pleasure to welcome you on ICANN on here today.
Good evening, Mr. Okwade. Good evening, Chartered Accountants. Thank you for having me. It's my good pleasure to be here again. Thank you.
Yeah, without wasting our time, we hit the ground running. Mr. Onifade, let me start by saying, can you please explain to us what is cyber security?
Okay, so cybersecurity is a combination of two words. It's actually cyberspace security. So we know what security is about: ensuring that, in technology terms, ensuring that you are able to protect, your data, your information from being lost, from being stolen, from being altered without authorization. So we talk about the confidentiality of data or information, the integrity of data or information, and then the availability of information to those who are authorized to have access to it. And you know that information is the basis for judgment, economic judgment, professional judgment. And your judgment cannot be better than the information on which it is based. So if information is not protected, then there's a problem, down the line in terms of how value is created for the organization. So when we talk about cyber security, because the cyberspace is not necessarily a physical space, it's a complex virtual environment, which has interaction of systems and people and technologies and applications. So how do we ensure that in that space, value is not destroyed? The way to do that is to put in place security capabilities that we call cybersecurity capabilities.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. That's just a simplified way of explaining to us what cybersecurity is all about. Let me just throw this poser to you, Mr. Onifade. As an accountant, is it really important for a professional accountant to be conversant with cybersecurity, or let me say, should chartered accountant or accountant in general, should they be worried about cybersecurity?
All right, so the simple answer is yes, they should be worried about cybersecurity. And the truth of the matter is that they are all cybersecurity professionals today. So cybersecurity, just like security is everybody's business, as professionals, cybersecurity is every professional's business. So you cannot afford as a professional not to be aware of your responsibilities and accountabilities for securing the assets of the organization, especially as accountants. You know that one of your major responsibility is to ensure that the assets of the organization are protected. Okay, so your greatest asset today probably will be considered to be information assets. So as the custodian of the greatest, talking about your financial information, some of you work in you have access to personnel information, you have access to payroll, critical and sensitive information of the organization, the balance sheet, your decisions can determine whether your stock value will go up or down, whether you will be turned over to receivership, whether your licenses will be revoked because of maybe issues around financial reporting, a lot of issues around even being penalized, maybe as a result of the actions or inactions of the accountant. So definitely, because a lot of these tools and techniques that you use, technologies that you use are also in the cyberspace today. You have licenses, your tools, your software are in the cloud. You transmit information through emails. Your environment is becoming paperless. you should be concerned. In fact, you are also the greatest target for business email compromise. Okay, because you give approvals for money to be spent and all of that. So you're an attractive target to cyber attackers, right? So definitely you should be concerned.
Oh, very brilliant. We are the custodians of the fund, and also because we hold the money, we control the fund, we are the main target. So, from what you've said, it's very much important that as professional accountants, we should be conversant with cyber security. We've just spoke about professional accountant. Let me ask you, Mr. Onifade, how important is cybersecurity to an average individual? I'm not talking about accountant now. An individual, a corporate organization, and a public entity. These three organs that have just, how important is cybersecurity to them?
You know, personally, I like to see cybersecurity to consist of three broad areas of livelihood, right? So at the national level, so cybersecurity is about national security, and you see that, you know, when you see the interactions between developed nations like US and China, and then when you look at the Ukraine war and the Russian war, you see cybersecurity playing a major role, okay, in how that war rather is being fought. So cybersecurity is about national security. Secondly, cybersecurity is also about business security. So a number of companies have gone down the drain. You know, some have been penalized, some have lost their data. They've been victims of ransomware attacks or the denial of service attacks. You know, their processes and operations have been degraded because of cyber attacks. So cybersecurity, therefore, is about business security. Now, the third leg is that cybersecurity is about personal security. Okay, so you have personally identifiable information. So you have credentials. Okay, your ATM PIN, for example, your personal identification number, your password to your internet banking account, and so many other things. So the same way that you will protect your checkbook, right? You won't leave your checkbook on the floor for anybody to have access to it, fully signed and all of that, and just waiting for someone to put the amount of money they want to withdraw in their own name. So the same way, right? Your digital assets, your NIN, you have Nigeria national identification number, you have BVN number. All of those numbers are of great value. Okay, if somebody who knows how to combine them, you know, there are some transactions you can't do without those numbers, for example. So they have great value to individuals. So you have social media accounts, you have email addresses. I'm sure if I ask you, sir, to say, can I have access to your email, just to look at what you have been sending in the last 10 years and analyze your, I'm sure you won't be very comfortable with that. So,
of course.
But if you're not securing it and protecting it, the question is there someone you are not aware of who has access to that and is playing with those data?
Thank you very much, Mr. Onifade. Sincerely speaking, you have made us to understand that both the individual, the business world, which we refer to as the corporate entity, and the public entity, talking about the national, actually need this cybersecurity that we are talking about. Let me go after simplifying this issue of cybersecurity. Are there unique classifications of this cybersecurity? By this, I mean, do we have types or models of cybersecurity that our viewers needs to understand?
The cyberspace is a complex combination, it's a system, you know, with many components. So cybersecurity will leverage some other specialisms like information security, network security, application security, you know, and such like that. Physical and environmental security. You know, there have been a lot of cybersecurity compromises that as a result of lapses in physical and environmental security. So all of that will be, if you want to do categorization, probably, but it is an holistic capability that you need to acquire. And depending on the people, the processes, and the technology involved. So business process controls will also be considered to be a component of cybersecurity, because a lot of processes depend on the cyber environment, the cyberspace to function.
Brilliant, brilliant. Let me narrow this after putting some of those classification in place. That as accountant, I want to believe that our viewers will want to know this. That what do you consider to be the biggest cyber threat for accounting profession as of today?
So you said biggest, so you want me to say one thing, and what I will say is ignorance, right? So ignorance.
Ignorance.
Yeah. That's the
that's
biggest.
powerful.
Right. So that makes you very vulnerable. So there's a concept called social engineering attacks, which has nothing to do with actually using tools or software applications to compromise someone. So using social engineering, psychological techniques, and if you are vulnerable because you are not aware, that's why security awareness is very important. What you are doing today is very, very important for chartered accountants. It can save your company a lot of money. It can save you as a professional a lot of embarrassment. So ignorance is the number one issue. And the only way to cure that is through knowledge.
Oh, very brilliant. And that is why the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Nigeria, through this platform, decide to equip its member with the knowledge base so that we will not be ignorant of some of the antics of the cyber attackers, so that we will not be compromised at any point in time. I just mentioned that the biggest, and you gave just one which you consider to be ignorant. Let me now go a bit deeper. What will you consider as some of the major cybersecurity risk confronting accounting firms and corporate bodies?
Accounting firms, your clients entrust you with their information. So if an attacker is interested in one of your clients, one way to get information, there's something called reconnaissance, to gather information about the organization. One cheap way to do that is through their audit, because information, most of it trust you with their most, as their chartered, as the accountants in charge of their books. So even if your clients have secured their information, by the time it leaves them and gets to you, put protection. Yeah, they use Yahoo and Gmail, to. Okay. When was the last time you changed the password of that email address? How strong is your password, for example? Can it be easily guessed? Okay. That's supposed to be private or already in your email addresses or your email inbox. The question is, what is the level of protection that is on that? Right? Or your
Yeah, Mr. Nifade, I don't know. We seems to be having little interference, possibly from the maybe the earbud. If you can hear me, so I will just quickly go for a short break while we quickly alter that. So for our viewers, I'll be guesting Mr. Onifade, and in a very short while, I will be back to make sure that we do what is needful and have deeper understanding. Like you can hear, the first thing and the biggest thing a professional accountant must avoid is to be ignorant of some of these things. Stay tuned. I will be back to continue with Mr. Onifade.
As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized CIMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a CIMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the CIMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the CIMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Welcome back. Welcome back to ICAN on Air this Thursday, the 23rd of June, 2022. And I've been talking to Mr. Opeyemi Onifade on cyber security awareness, the role of accountant. And he's been doing justice to it. In fact, the one that caught my attention is telling us that the biggest risk for an accountant is to be ignorant of some of these things that is on. Mr. Onifade, you're welcome back, please.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, so we continue with our question for today. Let me ask, to what extent can professional accountant apply this cybersecurity skill in addressing risk? To what extent?
All right, so cybersecurity is about protecting your information assets, and when you say something's an asset, it's anything that's of value to the organization. So the first thing is to ensuring that when you talk about risk management, ensuring that you can even identify those assets. So the concept of asset management needs to be upgraded in terms of what is really of value to the organization. Have you been able to identify that? Because you can't even protect what you can't identify. Have you been able to classify those assets in terms of their value? So what is the value of your payroll information, for example? If it is lost, stolen, altered, or compromised, what does that mean? How does that affect the organization? So what are your assets and where are they? Are there some on your phone? Are there some on your employees' laptops? Where are those assets? Have you been able to trace them? So, because risk management is very important when it comes to cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a journey. It's not just a destination. It's just not a one-time event. So someone will say, we have a cybersecurity project, you call a consultant and you're gone. But what happens to the processes that needs to be in place to ensure that you minimize your vulnerability? So just to, because we have little time and I'm trying to make sense of the question, two things that you need to be familiar with: the value of your assets and the vulnerability of your assets. And then
Value.
you need the value. Have you been able to place value on those information assets, the digital assets? And when I say value, I'm not just talking about the book value, because I know accountants. So I'm talking about its capabilities. I mean, the possibility of creating value for the stakeholder that it has, not just for now, but in the future. The cost of replacement, for example, is not just if you lose your laptop. The cost of replacement is not just how much it costs to buy a new one. If you lose your phone, the cost of replacement, if you don't have backups for your information, the emails, the WhatsApp messages, and all of that, the cost is beyond how much it takes to buy a new hardware.
Of course.
So, what is the value of your phone? Is it the amount you use to buy it, to purchase it, or all the capabilities, what has you have generated as a result of putting that phone to use over time? Okay, so what is the value? And then what's the vulnerability that those assets are exposed to? So vulnerability is any weakness that a threat can exploit to destroy the value of that asset. So those two things are very important, vulnerability and value. And then by the time you combine them, you now be able to determine what kind of controls should be put in place, and your risk profile, your actual risk profile can now be surfaced.
Brilliant, brilliant. Not just the net book value, but the value attributable to that particular asset by the time you do away with that, and the vulnerability. This is very key and very fundamental. Let me take this. You mentioned something while you're trying to classify the cybersecurity, talking about the national security. Let me state that apart from altering altering security threats, can cybersecurity prevent or mitigate corruption in any way?
Definitely. Because when you talk about corruption, or let's say fraud, for example, which because of my audience, fraud is about someone altering information without authorization, isn't it? I don't know if
Yeah,
you are.
yeah.
In its fundamental stage, when it says fraud has happened, somebody has altered information, okay, or destroyed information without authorization. Okay, so security is about confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So the integrity there means that you are put in place controls in place to ensure you are put in place controls rather to ensure that data cannot be modified without being detected and without authorization. Okay, so if that happens, it's difficult for somebody to steal 80 billion without being detected in the process of stealing it. Okay, because I mean, the stealing, we have to go through the cyber environment today.
Environment.
It's not, you are not dipping your hand in cash or something. You are not using bullion van to steal it. You are going to use digital systems, to do that. But if there are no controls, right, that can prevent that or detect that or correct that or contain it, then there will be the environment is porous, and there will be a lot of losses as a result of that. So corruption, people will take advantage of the porosity or lack of control, the vulnerabilities of the value of that asset, to exploit it, and that's corruption. You are taking advantage of the vulnerabilities in something that's of value to you for personal advantage, right?
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. So, if we are able to work with cybersecurity, then definitely we will be reducing or even eradicating that epidemic that is eating so much into our economy without growth, which is nicknamed corruption. Let me ask, having the understanding of this, that cybersecurity can avert or prevent so many things, what's what costs can you attach to the development or deployment of cybersecurity system?
Okay, so beyond systems, I know that we like to throw money at things, but that is not the best way to look at cybersecurity. Beyond systems, you need to look at processes. It's very important that you look at processes, and this is the reason. The more your processes uh, become capable, the greater the maturity of your organization in terms of cybersecurity um, capabilities. So that maturity, the higher your maturity, the lower your vulnerability. So, and maturity takes time. I mean, if you say somebody is an adolescent, somebody is a child, somebody is a toddler, somebody is an adult, you are talking about maturity, and you are talking about their ability to minimize their vulnerability. Because the more mature you are, the less vulnerable you are expected to be, when it comes to threat exposure. So beyond systems, you need to know what processes do we need to have. So when we say processes, processes are the means of shaping culture. So you need other components. Of course, systems are important, that is infrastructure and applications. You also need to have right culture, ethics, and behavior, right, around cybersecurity. You need to be able to put in place the right competencies, the right people, the right skills, right, in the environment. Okay, so all of these, these are capabilities, not just about systems, but even the people capabilities, the competencies from your people, hiring the right person, having the right processes in place, like, for example, background checks, around HR. So, which has to do with HR aspect of cybersecurity, ensuring that you are not hiring the wrong person who is not competent and who is not credible. So having all those holistic approach, to cybersecurity is what you want to look into beyond just throwing money at buying tools and all of that. So there are tools like somebody has mentioned, firewalls, all those controls that you need to put in place, intrusion detection systems, security event and incident management tools. But a fool with a tool is still a fool.
Brilliant, 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 brilliant. It's not about just throwing money at what we have, but being able to have processes, and you're able to bring to bear today that the greater the process, it will definitely improve our maturity. The greater the maturity, the lower the vulnerability of us. And you talk about the competency, the skills in some of these areas. Let me state here that to our viewers, please, you are expected to just throw in some questions so that we can field it. It's always interactive. It's not about Sheson and Mr. Onifade alone. And Mr. Onifade, I have Mr. Abel Asay bringing up a question for us this evening. He's saying, chartered accountants are skilled in the design of control to secure corporate assets. Yet, some organizations do not want to involve them in the design of system, control, and firewall. What message do you have for such entity?
Okay, so such entities need to understand that cybersecurity capability involve everybody in the organization. And I will also not say that they are wrong to do that, because some chartered accountants are not improving themselves to become credible enough to be trusted with decision making around cybersecurity. So you need to begin to see yourself as cybersecurity professionals as well. People who understand information systems, who understand control objectives, who understand risk scenarios, who understand threat landscapes around the cyberspace, and who understand the risk that the organization is exposed to. And for organizations to actually um, ensure that they are cyber secured, they need to also realize that over 25% of cybersecurity incidents are as a result of internal issues, internal compromises. Okay, so it's important in terms of awareness for the finance team, in terms of even skill development for them, understanding the do's and don'ts of behavioral cyber hygiene, cyber risk culture, getting risk informed, so that they can make risk informed decisions around their processes and practices in the accounting and finance departments. So
Brilliant.
yeah, it's very important. Yeah.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. While you're just talking about that, Mr. Moses, you're talking about us having the understanding of the process and not just debit and credit alone, coming to be cyber security expert in our space. Mr. Moses is posing this question to us, that how can professional accountants effectively ensure security of relevant data in an organization where accounting and finance department or duty are clearly separated from the information and communication technology department?
Good question. I like this question, and I'd like to let you know that ICT department, they are not the owner of your data. They are just custodian of the data, right? So the financial information in your ICT server room or IT department data center, the information does not belong to them. They are just custodians. So the first thing for a professional accountant to note or to insist on is the ownership of that data. The data, the account and finance data, actually belongs to the finance and accounting department, right? You own it. They are your data, and you need to be able to be interested in how the data is protected. It means for the protection of the information assets should be part of your interest. You need to be able to set the minimum baseline controls that are required. You need to be able to classify the information. Information classification means that you restrict access to it. When you say an information is classified, it means that not everybody can gain access to it. Okay, and which means that depending on the value, the criticality, and the sensitivity of that information, the controls that you put in place to protect them are quite robust. So if an information is public, can be shared to everybody, you probably don't need to protect it too much or apply too much controls. But you need to make that decision, not leave it to IT. IT doesn't know how important your financial statement is, doesn't know how important your liability information is, and all of that. So, Mr. Moses, take ownership of what belongs to you and don't abdicate your responsibility to ICT. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's part of what we are saying, and that is a learning point for us that ICT are custodian of the information. As a matter of fact, you just mentioned that they don't have deeper understanding of how valuable these data are to us. So every chartered accountant, every professional accountant should take ownership of those data so that there won't be problem. And this we can do by having baseline control, classified information. Mr. Moses wants to know more. That what are the trainings or certification that a chartered accountant can engage himself in to operate as a cyber security professional?
All right. Okay, so I was introduced as Africa Ambassador for ICAN International, and I'm sure that a number of you are members of ISACA. I would recommend that if you're a chartered accountant and you want to be part of the future of work and you want to postpone your retirement, you want to push it forward, you want to be around for as long as possible, I would recommend that you join ISACA because it's a very chartered accountant friendly organization. So that's why
Sorry, let me interject you so that what is ISACA? So that
okay.
people, you won't be talking in another language from another planet.
Okay, so apologies for that. So ISACA is a now today is being branded as an association of digital trust professionals. Okay, originally ISACA stands for Information Systems Audit and Control Association, and that was about 50 years ago. But it's more than that now. It's about cyber security and information security, IT governance, privacy solutions and services. It's about risk management around information systems and controls. So there are credentials around that all of these domains: governance, risk, privacy, security management, and I mentioned yeah, governance, risk, security management, and audit assurance. So there are credentials around all of this that you can be part of. Recently, ISACA also introduced some short certificate courses around emerging technologies. So you can learn about cybersecurity fundamentals, for example. So there's a cybersecurity fundamental course, which also comes with tools. So from the basics, and then you can actually have a tool that you can play with, understand the cyberspace, how to look out for vulnerabilities, how to detect them, understand stress scenarios and all of that. Okay, and not very expensive, really. So isaca.org, the website is isaca.org, and then just go to certifications and certificates, and you see a number of you know um, credentials that you can begin to develop yourself around to complement yourself as a chartered accountant, or probably even to towards maybe making a career change. It's not something that is totally out of place because there's a lot of convergence going on. Careers are converging, and you might just find it interesting. Next level for you as a chartered accountant.
Brilliant, brilliant. And that's one of the quality that we will actually been trained. We diversify into several segments as chartered accountant, and becoming one of the digital trust professional will not be an exception by being a member of ISECA too. So for Moses, you've added. I think Temitokbe Ojeleye is asking question. What qualification is required for this certification you just mentioned? Possibly the fundamentals.
Yeah, so most of them don't have prerequisites for you to go through the training, depending on your own capability or your background. What you may not be able to do is be able to use the appellations until you have gained necessary experience, okay, on the job. So it's very easy today to become a cybersecurity professional, all right, because there's the number of credentials and all of that. And I always recommend that if you are coming from an accounting background, audit background, you want to consider like certified information systems auditor, and then look at cybersecurity audit certificate, which is also part of what ISACA provides. Okay, and you can specialize in other areas. Information security manager is another professional credential. Certified in data privacy solution engineer is another one. Certified in information systems risk and control is another one, and some other certificates like that. So there's also cybersecurity nexus. If you want to become very technical, some of you are very interested in hardcore technology. You can go into some ethical hacking courses, like certified ethical hacker, license penetration.
Mr. Nifadi, you seems muted. Seems muted. While we're trying to get that
Okay,
up.
I don't know. I think I was muted by the system, but can you hear me now?
Okay. Okay, flow on, sir.
Well, I can hear you. I think you are muted.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and round up your
I can
thought.
hear you. I can't hear you, but I don't know if you can hear me.
I'm hearing you loud and clear. So just bringing your thought
I only
together.
see your lips moving, but I can't hear you.
Oh, that's serious. Well, uh, I want to, at this point, just give a little break. Mr. Okpeyemi Onifade has been doing justice to our topic today, cyber security awareness and the role of chartered accountant. Can you hear me now, Mr. Okpeyemi Onifade? Can you hear me now? Okay, while we're trying to fix this, let's quickly go on a very short break while we put this together. We will be right back.
As a finance professional in a disrupted business landscape, what does it take to be in demand? What does it take to attract great paying international roles? If you're an ICAN member, it'll just take one exam. That's all it takes to complete the globally recognized SEMA professional qualification and the internationally respected CGMA designation. As a SEMA member and a CGMA designation holder, employers will look at you as a finance professional, constantly acquiring new skills to add value to the business. That's why they'll be willing to pay premium to hire and retain you. If you have 5 years of relevant experience and are an ICAN member, you can directly sit for the final exam of the SEMA Professional Qualification, the Strategic Case Study exam. Start studying the SEMA Professional Qualification. Prepare to make an impact.
Welcome back, our professional colleagues and friends of Chartered Accountant. We are gradually coasting up for today's edition of ICAN on Air. But Mr. Nifade, I quickly want to touch on this because I consider it as something that cuts across every one of us, both as professionals, as students, as everything. We all make use of email and business email. How can this be compromised? And what is your suggestion to avoid this in a very short one?
Okay, so I would like to recommend that first of all, for professional work, that you invest in licensed email domains, right? Instead of just using Yahoo and Gmail and free email services. Okay, that's one. Two, as part of that, there are options around ensuring that you put in place digital signature around your email accounts to ensure that it's easy for your clients to validate that the email is from you. And the third one, like I mentioned, that their ignorance is a very major issue. And today's world, in the digital age, ignorance is a choice, actually. Ignorance is a decision you make today because knowledge is available and your choice to pursue it is your choice and your decision. So awareness, a lot of awareness around with our third parties, our partners, our suppliers. I have clients that subject even me to awareness sessions around these threat scenarios. So you want to do that, you want to ensure that your clients are not tricked into responding to email that is not emanating from you.
Brilliant, brilliant. We need to have our signature registered and also create the awareness on the part so that our clients understand that this is actually we communicating with them. Please, while we are trying to round up this session, I want to bring this to you. How can we improve the awareness of cybersecurity?
So awareness is about being deliberate, because you cannot succeed by accident, right? You can fail by accident, but you can't succeed by accident. So it's about being intentional. It's about ensuring that security awareness training becomes part and parcel of our organizational culture. Okay, so ensuring that everybody knows what is right to do and what is not right to do when it comes with their interaction on social media. Even sometimes you see people leaking corporate information on WhatsApp, for example, all right, or even on their social media landings. No, not because they are malicious, but because they are ignorant. They don't know what should be shared and not shared. Maybe there is no information security policies in the organization, so people don't. Your members of the organization don't know what they are supposed to do to protect themselves and protect the organization. So awareness needs to be incorporated into HR practices, okay? Because it's good to have ownership for it. And then people need to be held responsible for bad behavior, because what you permit, you promote. So if you want something to stop, right, you need to be able to have this incentives to make people stop. So there should be proper disciplinary actions, that will shape the right behavior in the organization. Then you should have mechanisms for detecting wherever policies are being violated, after people have learned about the right things to do and the wrong things not to do.
Brilliant, brilliant. As a matter of fact, Mr. Onifade, I must tell you that even while I'm trying to custom, my viewers are already posted in that there should be part two of this segment. And I want to believe there are more to learn. There are more to learn as a chartered accountant, because the cyber space is being dominated by some of our activity, and we need to be conscious, be intentional, be deliberate about what is going on in our environment. And I want to believe that in no distance time, I will be guesting you again on this particular show, ICAN on Air. So part of the things the Institute has put together is for our members not to be ignorant, so that we get involved in the activities and get value for that which we are known for. In a minute, can you please share with us your parting word, even for this program for today?
So just like you to, even though we can't cover all um, the body of knowledge around cybersecurity in 40 minutes, 45 minutes, I want you to know that this is a very important issue, very important topic, because negligence around cybersecurity can lead to loss of money. It can lead to reputational loss. Imagine that your clients, find their records on social media, and then it was found that it leaked from you, their auditor or their accountant. Okay, which means that you are likely to have a loss of business and loss of livelihood. So there are implications, there are consequences around being negligent around cybersecurity. And so you need to see it as a complementary capability or competency, in terms of you building your career as chartered accountants. And like I said, ignorance is the major problem, and the knowledge has become very cheap. There are a lot of, you can, even from YouTube, you can learn, tips around cybersecurity, cyber hygiene, which doesn't cost you money, it just costs you your data. So I just want you to show more interest in this and see it as important as your chartered accounting credentials. It's a very complementary competency that will help you to thrive as a professional generally. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Okpeyemi Onifade. Sincerely speaking, this program would have appeared that we extended for another 1 hour. A lot to cover. But time is not our friend. And I sincerely want to acknowledge our audience for today for being part of our program. I will be going on a very short break. I will come back so that we can round up our program for today. Stay connected. I will be back shortly. Welcome back. Today has been a very insightful, educative section with Mr. Opeyemi Onifade on cybersecurity awareness, the role of chartered accountant. I want to believe that we've learned a lot. Sincerely speaking, the members are actually calling for a part two, and I can guarantee you, with my chairman editorial board, that we're going to bring back Mr. Opeyemi Onifade to give more insight into this cybersecurity. Where we work today is about cyberspace. Cyberspace, everything is cyber. Let me quickly give few announcements before I round up. It's important to know that the 52nd Annual Accountant Conference of our great institute will be coming up in the month of October, precisely October 10 to 14 at International Conference Center, Abuja. More information will definitely be unfolding to us, but we want you to save the date, prepare to be part of this 52nd Annual Accountant Conference. And also, let me use this opportunity to congratulate our new officers in our institute today. The 58th ICAN president, our vice president, Dr. Innocent Okwosa, the first deputy vice president, Chief DCS Alaribe, the second deputy vice president, Malam Aruna Yaya, the immediate past president, Mrs. Comfort Olue Itayo, MNI FCA, the honorary treasurer, Mr. Oluwatobi Abiola FCA, and the registrar chief executive, who is always there to man the ball on the day-to-day running of our great institute. Congratulations as you take the responsibility of moving our institute in the next 1 year. On this note, we will be bringing the program to a close today. Join me same time next week Tuesday by 6 p.m. as we will be bringing to you another insightful topic that will challenge you, take you out of the ignorant space, and place you on the pedestal to make sure that you give value to your client and make yourself more valuable to the environment. On this note, see you next week Tuesday. I remain your host, Olusegun Okunade. Bye for now.